Hi, welcome back to Crimson Glass on YouTube, and today we're going to be doing a retrospective walkthrough of Crimson Glass yesterday, today, and fingers crossed, tomorrow. Well, let's start at the very beginning. I started writing General Hospital fan fiction in the before times, basically in 1998, back during Lucky and Elizabeth days. I don't have a single piece of evidence to back that up, so I'm just going to hope you're going to take my word for it. I have never been able to figure out how to find my old GeoCities web pages. Someone said they were archived somewhere, some way. They're around. I ran it was called Port Charles Chatter, and then I think I had some Lucky and Elizabeth fan fiction on a website, the Lucky and Elizabeth Guardian Angels. I think it's been a very long time. Most of the fan fiction I published back in '98 was published through the mailing lists. Is anybody else old enough to remember One List and e-groups? Because I am, and I wrote a lot of fan fiction during that period for Roswell and General Hospital. But I was a Lucky and Elizabeth, Jason and Carly fan. So that was in 1998, and then Lucky died on the show, and I peaced out for a little bit and came back in 2002. July of 2002, I started writing again. The very first website I ever had was at melissa.beyondimagining.com. And so as you can see here, I opened it in 2001 when I was a student. I think I was a senior in high school. And let's see. There it is. Isn't it adorable? November 4th, 2001. And then there's some fiction. I don't know if this is going to come up, but I definitely know that the only thing I'd ever posted here was Roswell fan fiction, which may or may not be available here. Yeah, my old Roswell website is here. I'm so excited. One day I'm actually going to put this together because, like, I wrote a lot of Roswell fan fiction. In 2001, I was still writing Roswell fan fiction with a friend who lived in Australia. Her name was Jess. And she hooked me up with a girl named Allie who had Beyond Imagining was her domain. And this was like, that was internet culture at the time. You hooked up with somebody who had a domain and someone would host you as a subdomain. Like, that was the life. And so I was melissa.beyondimagining for about 2.5 years. I don't have the first one anymore. The actual earliest one that was saved by the Wayback Machine is the Sonny and Brenda layout, which is adorable because I never really wrote any Sonny. I've never really been a big Sonny and Brenda like fanfiction writer. I love them, but I've never written. So this was January 2003. I was changing the layout all of the time back then. You can see inline frames. This is a piece of America's history right here. And I think it's just so funny because you can actually see a bunch of stories I don't have anymore. So the subdomain, I ran out of space, and so I was rotating stories in and out, and during one of the rotations, unfortunately, one of the stories, I had a computer crash at the same time, so anything that wasn't on the site got lost, and I haven't been able to piece a lot of that together. One day at work was actually like 8 parts, and like I would love to have that, but it's gone now. So that was the site. So it stayed there for about a year. After we left Beyond Imagining, I'm not entirely sure precisely where it moved. 2003, it may or may not have gone directly to the domain, but I'm going to tell you it's probably there was a pit stop somewhere. I think Allie got in touch with me saying she was not going to be renewing her domain. No big deal. I was doing it for free. And so we ended up at crimsonglass.com. And so I spent some time trying to find some Crimson Glass stuff for you. So here are my episode tags as of August 26, 2007. And I was big into image maps at that point. That was the big trend. And just like, oh, Scrubs. This was beautiful. I love them. And then I also have this. I was doing skins at this point, and I had a Faith Roscoe skin, and I also had a Liaison skin, but it probably doesn't. It works! Oh my god, look, this is from, okay, so this is from 2004? That can't be right, because this is a 2006 image. I don't know. Listen, let's not worry about it too much. We're not gonna get caught in the details. Let's take a look at what the site says. So April 25th, 2004. I was updating. I was writing but not updating. I shall believe. I was doing what I would do back then. I would post a lot at the canvas, and then I would eventually. This was like really just an archive. So you would read my stuff at the canvas, but you would not see it until here. So you would get here and then get to see it. So here I was writing I Shall Believe, Shatter, Poisonous Dreams, 2000 and 2003. So like I hadn't updated my stuff. And then we have a 2004. I couldn't tell you what this was. I was, movable type. Oh man. This was like a old blog platform. We were at crimsonglass.com from 2004 until about 2011. And so here's actually a note. So October 9th, 2010, I stopped watching in 2008, shortly after they reopened the hospital, the blasphemy. It's just 2009, but I was like pretty pissed at that point. So there's still like, at that point, I was still planning to finish writing. I was like my second year at Rutgers, and for some reason, I'm gonna tell you 2011, when I found out Jake died, I've really lost all of my interest in writing. So it was still at Crimson Glass. Then it was down there. I actually thought it expired in 2011. It must have expired in 2012. Because here I am at cg.paper-cup, and this is I just moved it. And I was recoding it because I was trying to clean up things. But this was the layout that was probably up the longest, just because this is the layout that was up when the whole thing died. And you can see these are actually from 2000. And I would say these are from 2008. Yeah, probably late 2008. And there's solo ensemble, so that's Uma and Amber. My Johnny and Nadine people, those were good days. So yeah, here's where it ended at paper-cup. So this is where it was at paper-cup until 2014. So Crimson Glass has had a really long, strange, road. So that's just a little walkthrough of like, the site's had a lot of homes. It's had a lot of formats. We've played with movable type. We've played with PHP, which I really loved for a long time. We played with skins. Oh, those were the days. The site disappeared for a little bit you know what it was? I think what happened is actually honestly just, I've always kind of like remembered it as I got annoyed with the show and decided not to renew it. I think that I got annoyed with the show and then just forgot to renew it. And then when I didn't get it renewed, I felt really bad. And it was the act of moving it that made me think I kind of miss this world a little bit. And then I found out, ironically, that the One Life to Live the team, Frank Valentini and Ron Carlivati, were coming over after One Life to Live had been canceled, and they were coming over to take over for GH. And I thought, oh, I really like them on One Life to Live. Surely I'll like them on GH.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
So in 2000, but I still didn't bring back the site. It was still sat dormant on a subdomain at paper-cup.org, which I have now let expire. It's been gone from there for a really long time. In January 2014, we opened up the website here. I opened it up, I moved it from paper-cup.org to dearisabel.org, and that's where it sat for about 5 years. So it was cg.dearisabel.org, so you guys probably know that one. And when I decided to move it over, I was like, you know what? This is the time. That's never going to be another time. I'm going to convert it to WordPress, which was the best decision I ever made because it's just easier now to deal with it. That's where you see it. Then last year, I decided to start the Facelift. So let's talk about the site as it exists today. Here it is. I'm experimenting with different ways to kind of get you guys like immediate access to stories. I have here a couple of banners: Fool Me Twice, Broken Girl, Mad World, like my 3 in-progress stories. There's a little note of what time period they are, what's their basic premise. So Fool Me Twice is, of course, Jason's Return, 2017. Broken Girl is Manny and Drugs, and then Mad World is the Panic Room rewrite. So we have our stories page, which I finally updated. We have the GH page, which is kind of like under construction and like low on the totem pole. I've got some old icons that this is what I use for my Twitter. I have a soap blog, and then I have like other things I'm working on, but the GH stuff is just like low totem. Writing, this is also kind of low. I started putting together Fanfiction 01, where I was like trying to, then I got actually a lot of content here where I talked about writing, and I talked about some of my character Bibles, basically how do I put together a story for some characters, and I was going to do it for a couple of them, but I had never got around to it. Support is just the links and an explanation for why I've set up support. So if you are ever interested in supporting Crimson Glass, we're just supporting the writing, I have a Patreon, I also have the PayPal link, and then my Venmo username. So basically the idea is that I was a college student when I originally reopened and got back to writing. The amount of script resources that this installation takes, I was on a shared service at DreamHost. I've been with my host since 2006. I was on a basic plan, and I was outstripping that basic plan, and the site kept going down over and over again. And so when I talked to DreamHost, I was like, hey, what do I do? You can either convert this to a static thing, which would stop the easy replies, which I love, or you could go into VPS, which is a virtual private server. So basically I have a VPS with DreamHost, and that cost me $25 a month to run it. And that's great because it actually gave me like a ton more space, a ton more resources, but it is $25 a month. And there were definitely months where I was like, this was hard. So I started up a Patreon just to kind of help, because I was working part-time as a substitute. I was going to college full-time. I was also working part-time as a tutor. And at one point in 2018, I was actually doing well enough with Patreon that I was able to leave my part-time job as a tutor, which gave me more time at night to write. So that's why since 2018, you've seen more writing. it's because I no longer work at night. Now, of course, now I have a full-time job, and now I have as a teacher, so I make like adult money. But now I also have a house. So it is still really helpful that my hobby of writing is still very much supported by my readers, which I very much appreciate. And then we also have a site page that I haven't really updated in a while, so facts, site registration, signing up for updates, all that stuff. I really do have to kind of clean up some of this stuff. It's on the list. So that's just a quick look. And then we have our sidebar, which has what's going on. So what am I doing in the fall? I am drafting, which is, this should be discovery. I should fix that. What am I writing? What am I editing? What am I posting? And then here's an alphabetical list of all my stories, a list of recent updates, production schedule. Let me just open it all up. And then a link to my socials. And here's a link to the stories, recently updated. So both of my flash fictions are here. Book progress. So I've written, I think I need to update this. I don't think I updated this. Yeah. A link to my Instagram, affiliates, stucky.org. We love them. Subscribe to the blog. I have about 1,500, which is insane. Thank you much. I love you all. My Twitter feed, 1.2 million hits since I opened this blog 5 years ago. I know it doesn't feel like a lot, but I write for a couple that doesn't exist on a show that's really crappy. What was the last thing so you can follow me on Spotify, my Fool Me Twice soundtrack, the sorts. So this is a alphabetical listing of everything I've written, and it has been updated. All the links are there. The best of my ability, all of the stories are on here. So if you ever just want to go to an alphabetical list and work your way down. Recent updates, if you just want to, like, maybe it's been a couple of months, you got bored, you came back, you want to see what I've updated, and you don't want to go through the update blog, you can go ahead and just see if I've updated a story. Production schedule, this is just like, hey, what's my release schedule and what's the writing schedule? So release schedule is here. Isn't it adorable that I still have December listed for Mad World Book 4? Aren't I cute? And then I have to update this. This was a dream before I went crazy in July. My coming soon page has a list of every single thing that's on the drawing board. One day, some of this will actually happen. And then here's my facelift page. So this is where we kind of get into, I'll come back to this, because the last thing I want to go over before I talk about the facelift is the other things I've got for you guys as readers. Under readers section, I have ebooks, which I still have to reformat and fix. Like, I'm not happy with some of the formatting. The newer ones are better. And so I've got them in all different versions, and they've all got, so I'm working on that. And then here's some older ones, but I do have ebooks, and they're not perfect, but they are free. Maybe if you don't want to sit at a computer and read, you can take it on an ebook and put it in Calibre or another e-reader. I also try to about once a month or every other month to update with here's a state of the union, basically. I used to do them just in text, but I've been filming them for the channel the last almost 2 years now, and I actually really like it. I also have some previews, old ones, of course, now, but sometimes I post previews for you guys. I have a character guide, which is basically minor GH characters you've never seen, you don't remember. So Alex Garcia, Brian Beck, Cooper Barrett, the very first Jerry Jacks, who was pre-sociopath Jerry, Justice Ward, Keisha, Kelly, Kyle, Lainey. So there's a couple of minor characters that I really got attached to. For example, Nadine. She shows up in almost everything because I adored Nadine. I loved the idea of Nadine and Johnny. Layla is probably not as well remembered. Kyle, I am probably the only one who remembers him. I adored him. Maxie and Kyle forever. Bring back Kyle. She used to be a thing. And then I have a couple of original characters, which I don't do a ton of original characters. I usually do try to find someone in GH history, but there were a couple where I didn't feel like I think for Mad World, I have Kelsey, who is an original character. I probably would have made it something different. I don't know who it would have been, but I might have tried, but so there's not a lot of those. So you can sort by title, that's alphabetical, by length, by character, by couple, by the year written, by the story set, and the holiday. So by length, depends on what you're in the mood for. So if you are just I want to find something really short to read, here are my short stories. The ficlets aren't on here for some reason. It's so weird. I have to go back and fix that. Things that are longer than 100,000 words, things, so if you're just it just kind of gives you an idea of what you're getting yourself into. And then by character, so maybe you want to read everything I've ever written about AJ. And so here's stories where AJ is a big character. Maybe you want to find my Anna Devane stories. Here's some places where Anna is a character. I've had people have you ever written Brenda? Yes, I have. Here you go. Everything Carly is in. And so these are the stories where they are not with a couple. So you'll see that I've actually written way more Dylan, but mostly it's Dylan and Georgie or Dylan and Lulu. I've written a lot of Elizabeth, but this is not all of my Elizabeth. This is like the Elizabeth that's non-romantic for the most part. And then I also have them by couple. So if you want to read anything I've ever written for AJ and Courtney, I listed it by the way I do my couples is I always put the guy first and the girl second, and that's just for I don't know, that's just for organizational purposes. So it's just like it's uniformity. So like here, I love this. Here's every story I've written about Jason and Elizabeth. Look at him. There's a lot. And then I've got two where Jason and Sam are like kind of coupley. So there you go. I should probably add Broken Girl to that now that I'm thinking about it. Here's my Jackson Carly's. I'm pretty sure most of these have been updated and cleared, but I'm sure there's like one or two where they're not. So that's like useful. And then by year written, I don't know if you're trying to find my newest stuff. Here you go. I really do have to update this because no, this is actually pretty good. I think Fool Me Twice is the only thing that's not on here. So The Ghost and the Girl, everything I wrote last year. So If Wishes Came True. So like this is everything I wrote last year. And you can see that Mad World is on here. So it's every year that I've written it. And then also by the year the story is set. So maybe if you want to go read something that's been from early GH. So these are my stuff. So you can just, you want to read a drug story, you can probably find it in that section. So if you're just interested in that. And if you're looking for holiday stories. I have tons of ways to organize the story so you guys can find what you're looking for. The last thing we're going to talk about is the facelift. So next year, my GH fanfiction archive turns 20 years old. Now, of course, it's only been at this website for a year, and we've only been back as a WordPress since 2014. But by and large, you've been able to find my GH fanfiction online at a site that I run since 2012. 2002. I sat down to make a list of just like, what are things I would like to do differently on the site? Like, what are ways I'd like to clean up the site? And so I made a list of major improvements. So the first thing was move the site to a new domain. I did that last year. And then create subsites, which is what I have done. So a subsite is, these all run off the exact same WordPress, but if you go to Fool Me Twice, it has a different theme, which took me forever to perfect, and it's still a pain in my butt. But I absolutely love because it lets you be immersed in the story a little bit. I'm not completely done. There's a couple more stories that I want to have done that way. So I have my list for that. And then I have the other big thing that I wanted to do was overhaul and merge the alternate history and alternate universe, which is mostly done. So about a year ago, the stories were listed all over the place. I had short stories, I had ficlets, I had series, I had in-progress stories. You could find, and it's not like I had cross-listed stories. There was not one place to find every single story. And I was just like frustrated by it. So the first thing I did was I sat down in Dreamweaver and I organized my alternate history stories just by chronological order. And then I grouped them by time period. So 97 through 2000 would be OG Liaison. This is like the first round from, Elizabeth showing up to Jason leaving. And then we have our 2001, which is when Jason comes back, 2002, so kind of like big periods in GH history. And then I've kind of given you an idea in each of those sections what you can expect. So like stories set in 2005, not a lot of them because Jason and Elizabeth don't have a lot of scenes together. They're in their relationships. It's kind of a really low point. So I've only got about 2 stories and they're both set in the fall when Manny comes to town. So I've been working on this for a really, really long time. I've been adding graphics when I can remember to. All of 2002 is done. I've been working on 2003. But I have to get my screen caps organized. All the way from the very first story I've got on here, which will be set in December 97, which is coming out this December, to the most recent story, which is not even, there it is, If Wishes Came True, which is last year, was a series of short stories that were just deleted scenes. And then I always thought, well, I'll come back and add to it. And then GH got stupid again. So, so everything I've written since 2017. All right, so I spent a lot of time, and once that was done, and once I had organized and moved everything over and cleaned it up because I wanted to go to each site and add a timeline and inspiration, and eventually I will add more graphics. And now I'm going to be working on alternate universe. Alternate universe is going to be looking like that. I don't have the page ready to show you guys, but I'm pretty excited by that. And once those are done, I will be moving on to the big thing, which is to organize my screen caps. I have a bunch of screen caps. Organize them by dates, and I have them divided by like the DVD they came from because I have a bunch of DVDs to organize. And I have done kind of, here I am like in 2002. I still have a lot to do. The only other thing left to talk about is the YouTube channel, which you guys know about because here you are. I'm working on adding pages to the site with transcripts and stuff, but like that is such a low priority. It's not monetized. You can see I have 64 subscribers, and let me be clear, it's not like I'm not a YouTuber. This is not something I'm trying to do for money. Here's monetization. You can need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Look at that, I'm at 64 and 119. I'm gonna reach this before I reach this, and I'm never gonna reach that. So this channel is really just for me. It is not at all an attempt to make any kind of money. So what you can find here, take a look at the playlists, is all of my writing stuff. I've got some General Hospital stuff on here. I've got my soundtracks. So this is just another place to find media, and I'm trying to release 1 video a week. We will see 3 writing related videos and then 1 GH related video. That is my deep dive into every single aspect of Crimson Glass's identity on the web, the website, the history of the website, the YouTube channel. That's what I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.